With week one of the NFL season officially wrapped up, here's this week's top 10 teams in the power rankings. At number 10, the Miami Dolphins. Despite struggling early on in the game, Javon Holland provided a big spark that led to a 14-point swing after he had to punch out the goal line at Travis Etienne, and then Tyreek Hill had an 80-yard touchdown in the next possession. This offense picked up just where they left off last year. Explosive. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle each had over 100 yards receiving, while Devon Achane had 70 yards receiving from the backfield. The question now remains, can Tua Tagovailoa continue to beat good teams? At number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, I know they lost to the Patriots. Yes, I know they had the biggest upset loss in the NFL this week. But the Bengals are ranked amongst the top teams in the NFL before the season for a reason. They have all the talent in the world, both offensively and defensively. Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback, and it just happens that the Bengals struggle early on in seasons. Under Zach Taylor, over the past 6 years, the Bengals are 1-10 in weeks 1 and 2. Now, this isn't an excuse that they should have lost to the Patriots. That's okay to lose to the Patriots, but it's more so there's no need to panic right now. And on top of that, the Bengals have a lot of new pieces that need time together. And as Jim Harbaugh once said, the biggest jump a team can make is from week 1 to 2, and that's what the Bengals are going to do. Joe Burrow is going to have Jamar Chase back in full form after he missed training camp due to his holdout. Chase is going to be able to shake off some rust, just like Ayuk needs to do with the San Francisco 49ers. T. Higgins being out with injury didn't help this team's receiving core, and the offensive line have some new pieces. They also have a new backfield, so it's going to take some time for them to find some cohesion, but the Bengals are a legit team, and they fell, but they shouldn't be outside the top 10 because they will get better with time. At number 8, the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams looked really good against the Detroit Lions. Cooper Kupp looked like he returned to form. He looked his best since his Triple Crown year from several years ago. Once his team can have some health in the offensive line, and with Puka Nacua, this team can really play and contend in the NFC and not necessarily win the division, but make a good run at it against the San Francisco 49ers. Defensively, their front seven, their defensive line is very young, and I expect them to take a big jump in the coming weeks with Jared Verse, Brandon Fisk, Kobe Turner, and Byron Young all looking to improve. Then they need to because they struggled heavily against the Detroit Lions offensive line, especially late in the game. At number 7, the Houston Texans. The Texans added an element and showcased an element against the Colts that they didn't have all of last year, and that was a running offense. Joe Mixon ran for over 150 yards against a very solid front seven of the Indianapolis Colts. If Joe Mixon can do a variation of this in the coming weeks for the Houston Texans, this team is going to be one of the best and most explosive offenses in the NFL because they finally have a balanced attack with Mixon. Stephon Diggs also added 2 touchdowns in his debut for the Houston Texans, and Nico Collins looked just as effective as always with over 100 yards receiving. At number 6, the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb had a money connection, not only in their bank account, but on the football field, and they proved to be one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the NFL last year, and they look to continue that this season. The Dallas Cowboys also looked really effective defensively, looking like they're not going to skip a beat despite the departure of Dan Quinn for the Washington Commanders as Mike Zimmer takes over as the defensive coordinator. When Deron Bland comes back healthy, this defense is going to be really strong. Now the question is, can they establish an effective run? Can they move the ball with their run? And can they find a second receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb? At number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts had a few early mistakes against the Green Bay Packers with a few interceptions, but he was able to get back on track. And Saquon Barkley helped carry the load offensively in the middle quarters as he had 3 total touchdowns for this team, and they had a huge win over the Green Bay Packers. Now, the biggest question mark is on the offensive line and Jalen Hurts. I do believe this offensive line is going to take another jump and be just as good as they were last year. I also think this Cam Jurgens Jalen Hurts connection is going to be A-okay. As far as Jalen Hurts is concerned, he's a good quarterback. I just don't know if he's elite. Time will tell, but if he is, this team is going to be a legit contender. If not, they'll still win the division, but they won't make much noise in the playoffs. At number 4, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens had a great game against the Chiefs, but they showed signs of what's been holding them back the past couple of years, and that's every player on offense not named Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson looked like an MVP yet again, running for over 100 yards, passing the ball extremely effectively, but their running game outside of Lamar Jackson was non-existent. Derrick Henry did not look good. He looks like a 30-year-old running back. The offensive line was not great in pass protection or in the rush. And then offensively, Zay Flowers is good, but the question still remains, who is wide receiver 2? Is Isaiah likely just a flash in the pan, or is he legit? Time will tell, but Lamar Jackson looked great. But if the Ravens want to contend and even win their division, the whole offense needs to step up, especially the offensive line. At number 3, the Detroit Lions. The only word I can use to describe their game against the Rams is wow. They looked absolutely incredible, dominating the line of scrimmage. Their O-line absolutely took the will to win out of the Rams' defensive front seven. Look at the final possession of overtime. It was simply hand the ball off to Montgomery, Frank Ragnow, Penny Sewell, bulldoze over everybody, and we're going to pick up 10 yards every single carry. And they will continue to be an opposing force this year, just like last year. And the best part about this Lions rushing attack is that they have a great 1-2 punch in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, the best 1-2 punch in the entire NFL. And just like last year, since Montgomery can carry his own load the first 2/3 of the season, it's going to allow for Jahmyr Gibbs to be an elite back the final third, plus the playoffs, allowing for this team to have fresh legs and absolutely kill later in the season. On top of that, the Lions are walking away saying, wow, I think we found a real wide receiver too. Jameson Williams did incredible, having over 100 yards receiving and was able to help carry the receiving corps as Amon-Ra St. Brown struggled to get open and to have as many targets as he might have desired. If Jameson Williams, similar to Joe Mixon, can perform at a variation of how he did week one, the Lions are in really, really good hands offensively as they have all the tools needed to be a contending offense. A great running game, an identity, a strong offensive line, legit wide receivers, and a quarterback in Jared Goff who could straight out ball out. At number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers shocked a lot of people in how they dominated the New York Jets on Monday night. On both sides of the ball, they dominated the line of scrimmage. Offensively, the biggest question mark was how good are the offensive linemen to the right of Trent Williams going to do? And they played really, really strong. There was nearly no pressures on Brock Purdy, and they opened up a lot of gaping holes for Jordan Mason to run through, especially the right side, which was surprising since Trent Williams is a left tackle. So if the offensive line can keep this pace up, with Jordan Mason and C-Mac coming back, the running game will be strong, the receiving game will be really strong, and Brock Purdy played his best football game I've ever seen him play. He was delivering some great throws on the sideline and down the middle to Deebo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, and even Brandon Ayuk. And they weren't just dink and dunks. And if Purdy can continue this offense is going to be really special. At number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and company looked absolutely incredible. The biggest issue with the Chiefs last season was their wide receiver core. They didn't have one. This year, they finally do. Rashee Rice had over 100 yards receiving. Xavier Worthy had 2 touchdowns. Marquise Brown's coming back. Travis Kelce didn't even need to do much, and this team was clicking in the passing game. Isaiah Pacheco looks like he continue his dominance as a running back. And all in all, these Chiefs have a lot of answers and nearly no questions. The Chiefs look like they are going to be a force to be reckoned with and a hard team to knock off in the AFC. Should be an exciting matchup week 2 as they face the Bengals, but a game that the Chiefs should win by about 10 to 14 points. Time will tell, but the Chiefs are the contenders and the favorites to win this year's Super Bowl. Let me know your thoughts on the top 10 teams in this week's Power Rankings. Thank you so much for listening, and please subscribe.